So to start the idea, Jesus combats and defeats the evil spirits, the same beings that are defeated in the Old Testament, demons that originate from the Nephilim. Christ came to destroy the works of the devil. To be demonized is the opposite of theosis, demonization versus divinization. And like we said, these demons are the leftover spirits of the dead Rephaim. All right, so now that we've covered all of this, the book of Joshua and the War on the Giants, Gigantomachy, is kind of the centerpiece thread that we've been focusing on for a while, that goes from at least Genesis 6 through the Gospels and Acts, because we get to join God in his Acts, right? Through the Gospels and onto the book of Revelation. And we've mentioned some of the things in Revelation, so I probably won't cover that in too much detail. But some of the things that you see, the beast, king, tyrants that Jesus slays with the sword of his mouth, Magog and Og, the connection through Greek and Old Testament, which we've already talked about. So one of the things that I wanted to really, I thought this is probably one of the coolest things that I discovered years ago. And if anybody is a scholar in Greek, I'd love to hear more on this, but this is just me as a layman. So if it's wrong, I'm totally wrong. All right. So there's a word, okaterion. It only happens twice in the New Testament. I haven't been able to do a really good search in the Old Testament, like the Septuagint, but it happens in Jude 1:6 and 2 Corinthians 5:2. And so keeping an idea of Genesis 6 in mind, I want to read Jude 1:6 and 2 Corinthians 5:2. Says, I'm going to start in verse 5. Now, I desire to remind you, though you know all things once for all, that the Lord, after saving a people out of the land of Egypt, subsequently destroyed those who did not believe, something that we covered today. They didn't join in Gigantomachy. And the angels who did not keep their own domain, but abandoned their proper abode. So this is plural, angels. There is only one story in the Old Testament where a plural, angels, did something where they left their abode and were judged for it. He is kept in eternal bonds under darkness for the judgment of the great day. All right, so that term, okaterion, abode, it means their proper habitation or house. Okay, so if you look that word up, there's only one other place that it shows up. And I want you to, this is so cool. All right, so I'm going to start in verse 1 of chapter 5 of 2 Corinthians. For we know that if the earthly tent, which is our house, is torn down, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For indeed the house we groan, longing to be clothed with our dwelling from heaven, inasmuch as we, having put it on, will not be found naked. For indeed, while we are in this tent, we groan, being burdened, because we do not want to be unclothed, but to be further clothed, so that what is mortal will be swallowed up by life. Okay, so this is talking about resurrection and the life of the age to come. That word, okaterion, is clothed with our dwelling from heaven. It's only used twice, one where the angels left theirs and one where we gain ours. So I think that's a really wonderful picture of Genesis 6, the fallen divine council. Some things that we've talked about Michael Heiser is that where the angels left, God is preparing a place for us. Just like Gigantomachy. They took over Canaan, and the partnership that Israel had with God was to war against the giants and take their place in that land. So same thing. So you see that connection there.
Can I please just say something to help the case? So I'm on blueletterbible.org, which is a phenomenal source for all the Christians to understand the Bible in its original languages. So in this case, I was just checking the word, what it means in Greek, and you're right. It's mentioned only 2 times in the New Testament, and it does mean what you said: a dwelling place or a habitation. The second meaning is of the body as the dwelling place for the spirit, which is very interesting. And besides being mentioned 2 times in the New Testament, it's also mentioned in Apocrypha, 2nd Maccabees 11, 3rd Maccabees 2. Okay. Then also Josephus uses this, Plutarch, and some other ancient historians and philosophers. I just want to mention that for the sake of context, because it contributes and helps the case we're building. But in this case, what you're saying, that it is true. And it is mentioned, as you said, in this proper context, And it wasn't just used in the New Testament by Paul and Jude. It was also used in Apocrypha that came before the New Testament canon.
What do you can you look up how it's used, like the verse or the sentence that's around it?
I can. Let me just
That would be
Google
cool.
it. Yeah. So Second Maccabees 11:1 and 2. Very soon after this, Lysias, the king's guardian and kinsman, who was in charge of the government, being vexed at what had happened, gathered about 80,000 infantry and all his cavalry and came against the Jews. He intended to make the city a home for Greeks. So I think this just helps what you said. It is a home, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So that's how it's being used, is that the home that the fallen angels or the rebellious angels left is the home that we're being given. And I think that's
Yep.
a really beautiful picture. And once again, a continuation of this thread of gigantomachy replacing the tyrants and the giants with those that are in the likeness of God. And I think it's a beautiful picture, and it's continuing into the New Testament.